Hi everyone. In this session, we are going to talk about water. Water, as you all know, it's drinkable water. You know the formula is H2O. But what is wholesome or potable water? Wholesome or potable water is water which is safe and acceptable for human consumption and human drinking. It is a water which is free from pathogenic organism, free from harmful chemical substances, which is colorless, odorless, should have a pleasant taste, it's clean and sparkling, and is usable for domestic purposes. So that's the water which we call wholesome or potable water, the water which we are able to use for our daily life activities. Then we also have unwholesome water or non-potable water or unsafe water. It is the water which contains impurities, and when consumed, it can predispose people to illness and other conditions. It may have color, it is turbid, it's kind of not very clean, and it has a taste. So that's the kind of water which is called unwholesome or unclean or unsafe water. It may also have an odor or a smell. There are three sources of water which include groundwater, so the water which is underground, and sometimes we get that water through wells in other places. Surface water, so water that you see in river, lakes, oceans and stuff. And rainwater, the water which evaporates and then come back into this world through rain, and that water is also used for various different purposes. Now let's look at water pollution and its impact on health. What is water pollution? Well, water pollution is release of any substances, chemicals or microorganisms into this groundwater or to the surface water. We talked about groundwater, which was lakes, stream, rivers, and any oceans or any of those things. So when harmful substances are sent into these streams of water, the water gets polluted. The water also gets polluted by other forms of substances, like, for example, radioactivity or heat. So how big is the problem? Well, evidence suggests that over half of the global population do not have safely managed sanitation services, which then means that it affects the quality of the water and drinking water. Around 2 billion people live in countries where the amount of water available is less than the amount required, which means that these are water-stressed countries. And by 2025, half of the world's population will live in a water-stressed environment. Water-stressed environment refers to a place where there is less water than the amount of water is needed for living in that particular country. Around 785 million people do not have basic drinking water services. And since 1990, water pollution has worsened in almost all rivers in Asia, Latin America, and Africa. So that's how big the problem is with water at the moment. So what are different water pollutants? How does water get polluted? So pathogenic microorganisms, where do they come from? They come from sewage and other water pollutants. So, things like, for example, domestic used water, and contaminated water which comes from home. So it is usually the primary source of pathogen disease causing microorganisms and other harmful substances. Because pathogens are excreted in feces, all sewage in cities and towns is likely to contain pathogens of some types, potentially presenting a direct threat to public health. And when we are not cleaning our hands properly, or when we are not boiling the water or treating the water appropriately before drinking, it can cause problems for many people. Organic waste is another big source of water contamination. Organic waste can be poisonous, radioactive, explosive, carcinogen, and various different things. It comes from, the sources of toxic waste could be industrial plants and chemical process facilities where, lead, mercury, chromium, and other kind of chemicals are excreted, and they go into the ocean or into the surface or groundwater. Toxic chemicals can have an impact on people's health, and we will discuss that in our. Then we have sediments. Sediments are results from soil erosion and can be carried into water. So, big big lands and big like erosions of the earth, and through which those sediments go into the into water. Suspended sediments which interfere with the penetration of sunlight and upset the ecological balance of the body of the water. So when big rocks and other things go into it, so what happens that it can cause problems within the water. It can also disrupt reproductive cycle of fish and other forms of life. And when it settles out of suspension, it can smooth bottom dwelling of the organism. So it can cause quite a lot of problem within the water in itself. Heat or thermal portion or thermal aspects of the water can also be problem. Heat is considered a water pollutant because it decreases the capacity of water to hold dissolved oxygen in solution, and it increases the rate of metabolism of fish. Okay, so therefore, heat in itself is a water pollutant. A major source of heat is practice of discharging cooling water from power plants into river. And this discharge about water may be as much as 15 degrees centigrade warmer than the naturally occurring water, and therefore that can cause trouble into the water and pollute water. Petroleum pollution is also a pollution which occurs when oil from roads and parking lots or other aspects spills into and gets into water. When we talk about rivers and sea, accidental oil spills can also be considered as oil pollution, and that can cause bigger problems as well. Radioactive substances, dyes, and other aspects can also cause pollution and can also cause quite a lot of health problems among humans. So what is the economic impact of water pollution? Well, water, as a result of water pollution, cost of water treating drinking water can rise a lot. So we have to spend more money, we have to spend more resources, have more resources to clean water to be able to make it drinkable. We lose tourism because people are not able to swim or boat or use any of those kind of activities, which then means that we earn less money through those activities. It damages the commercial fishing and shellfish harvesting. So fishing and other industry, it gets affected and therefore produces less fish and therefore has an economic impact. And it lowers the real estate value. So the houses and other market and the cost of that decreases, and that's another kind of economic impact. Water pollution and human health. Well, water pollution affects human very badly by and there are various examples of it, and one of the example is that because of polluted water, human may ingest microplastics. So microplastics which may go into the sea and other things, and even when it's treated and cleaned, still there is microplastic which people drink through drinking water. People may consume water which is contaminated by sewage and is not clean. Drinking water containing chemical waste can cause quite a lot of problems such as cancer, hormone disruption, altered brain function, damage to immune and reproductive system, cardiovascular and kidney problems. And when people swim or have activities in contaminated water, it can cause other problems like rashes, pink eyes, respiratory conditions, hepatitis, and so on and so forth. So what can we do about water problems? How can we sort that? Well, there are various things that we can do. For example, we can reduce use of plastic, improve recycling practices, dispose of household chemicals properly so that they don't get into water and they don't affect it that way. Avoid using pesticides too much because that affects water. Make sustainable choices regarding food and drinks. Use less meats because meat production and when meat is utilized, that takes quite a lot of amount of water, and I would like you to explore how much water is spent when we use meat. So these are some of the strategies which can be used to reduce water pollution. So water pollution is a serious environmental issue which affects which can be caused by many different contaminants, and it does have an effect on human health. And there are various ways through which we can help limit water pollution. And if some person is experiencing any effects of water pollution, they should go to their doctor. So I hope this information was useful. Please do share the videos with others. Thank you for watching.